Welcome to Notes from a Drama Watcher, a podcast about East Asian dramas. It's part recap, part review, and there will definitely be spoilers ahead. Hi, welcome to episode 41 of Notes from a Drama Watcher. This is your host, Em. It's been a long time. There's been a lot going on in real life, but I am back. I don't know when the next episode will drop, but I'm back for now. Quite frankly, was not watching many dramas at all in the beginning of the year, so there was kind of no motivation in a way for me to do a podcast. I did see a few things. I'm not going to talk about it here, but I saw Twinkling Watermelon, which is a Korean drama, which I thought was just so good. It's actually a 2023 drama, and it had kind of been on my list for a while and just hadn't gotten around to watching it. And then I finally did watch it. But mostly I was watching a lot of Western shows in the beginning of the year, rewatching a lot of old shows. But recently I've started watching more dramas again, specifically more BLs. So I'm going to be talking about three of them. Battle of the Writers, Jack and Joker, You Steal My Heart. It's episodes 1 through 5. I'll be talking about that last. Also, Every You, Every Me, which just started actually a couple of days ago. And probably out of all of these, I would say is the impetus for me actually recording another podcast. Every You, Every Me, I've been waiting for the whole year, basically. I think they released the pilot about 10 months ago. It stars Top and Mick. Those two actors were also a couple in the My Universe anthology series that came out last year. I didn't see that entire series, but I saw a number of the stories. Each couple, I believe, had 2 episodes, and I saw their story, which I think it was You Are My Soulmate, might have been their particular story. And they were one of the best parts of that anthology series. I thought they had really good chemistry with each other and everything. And so when I saw that they were going to be having their own series, I was really anticipating it. And so we've had episode 1, it has aired. And I was a little hesitant because since I had been waiting for so long, I was a little worried that I had been building up in my mind that it was going to be this good series, or at least a good first episode. And then what if it turned out not to be? But it actually did turn out to be a really good episode. So Every You, Every Me airs on Gaga Ulala. It aired on Sunday, Eastern Standard Time. I'm on the East Coast. And it will be having 8 episodes. I'm not quite sure about this part. It looks like each episode might feature a different couple in the sense that they'll be portraying different characters, because they did show a sneak peek of episode 2 and they're playing different characters. So the thing is that they're supposed to be each other's soulmate, and they meet in many lifetimes, and in each lifetime they will fall in love. It's only 8 episodes, so we don't get to see the thousands of lifetimes, I think it said somewhere, that they fall in love. We don't get to see that. But I do hope they circle around to previous stories and they show the connections between one lifetime and another, the connection between the characters. And I'll get to why I want that in a second or so. So the pilot was released on YouTube about 10 months ago. As I said, they were in My Universe. It was evident even then that they had really good chemistry with each other. And this first episode is about a world where soulmates actually exist. And if you go out into the rain and you touch your soulmate, you'll be able to see them in color. Otherwise, the world is just black and white. And it's just funny because coincidentally, I had bumped into, I don't know the YouTuber's name, some videos by a YouTuber who is a video editor, and he's watching various K-pop videos and explaining how things are done in various videos. And he talks a lot about rotoscoping, which is when you sort of highlight objects or characters or whatever, and it sort of pops from the screen because you're highlighting them. So I was watching this first episode and thinking, I think they're using rotoscoping because, as I said, the characters, since they've touched each other in the rain, they can see each other in color. So Top and Mick's character, which Top is playing Sun, Mick is playing Dawn. They are in color. When you look at the screen, everything else around them is in grayscale. It's in black and white. So Sun, played by Top, is his character has a very fitting name. He has a very bright and sunny personality. He's someone who's very eager to find his soulmate. Don, who's played by Mick, is the complete opposite. He knows that soulmates exist, but he could care less about finding his. And he doesn't believe whether or not someone is your so-called soulmate determines whether or not you'll be happy with that person. They never fully explain why he feels that way, but you get the feeling that it has something to do with his parents because his dad seems to be out of the picture. Because during the episode, his birthday happens and he gets a call. It's from his mom, you can guess. And I guess his mom asked, like, has he heard from his dad? And he hasn't heard anything from his dad. And this is just me, like, theorizing why he doesn't believe in soulmates. Obviously, something happens in his life, and that's why I think it might have been something with the parents. I didn't quite know what to expect from this first episode, but I didn't really expect that it was going to be as dramatic as it was. Sun, even though he's got this really bright, sunny personality, he has some problems because he has an ex-boyfriend who just won't leave him alone. And you find out during the course of the show that in their relationship, Sun was the victim of gaslighting and making Sun believe that he was soulmate blind, which is apparently an affliction you can have in this world where you do not have the ability to see or sense that someone is your soulmate. And his ex-boyfriend had him convinced that Sun was his soulmate, and Sun just didn't know because he was soulmate blind, which obviously turned out not to be true when Sun met Dawn and was able to see him in color. His ex-boyfriend's really a piece of work. You really get to see that he was basically just using him throughout their whole relationship. And it's something I've thought of a long time, like for a long time. Sometimes people who are smiling the most and seem the happiest are people who are hiding like a deep hurt inside. And I feel that way with Sun. We got to see some really horrible treatment of him by his boyfriend. But there's a lot, his ex-boyfriend, but of course there's a lot we didn't see that they don't show us. It's just one episode here. And who knows what was going on in the relationship that we didn't see. We know he was gaslighted. We know his boyfriend was using him for money. And that's why he wanted to stay in the relationship with Sun. And even though they mentioned Sun had broken up with him several times previously, it's really kind of meeting his soulmate that pushes him even further to say, like, no, this relationship was very unhealthy. You never really loved me. And as for Don, you see that it really takes him a while to warm up to Sun because he's just very wary of the whole soulmate idea. And he thinks he knows Sun's motivations, that Sun just wants to be with him because they're soulmates. And apparently he's already seen where just because you're soulmates doesn't mean that you'll never break up. So he's just trying to not get hurt. And he's actually there for one moment where On has an argument with Sun and he sees that, Sun has just gotten out of this relationship and it's obviously like just a very messy thing. And he is someone, again, who doesn't want to be hurt, is not sure about entering in a relationship. And you can tell he's kind of like, I don't know what I'm stepping into here. But at that point, he already cares enough about Sun that he doesn't want to see Sun hurt, recognizes On is not a good guy, and soulmate or not, he wants to help Sun and make sure that he is safe. And you see him at one point needing to rescue Sun, run towards Sun, and he's doing it in the rain, which in the past he was someone who completely covered, wearing a raincoat, wearing an umbrella, wearing galoshes or rain boots, everything to not be rained on because to him, rain equaled soulmates and he wanted nothing to do with it. It was kind of a phobia for him. And he, at that point, just didn't care. All he knew was that he needed to get to Sun and to help Sun. And you see him, dramatically running through the rain when Sun needed his help and was in physical danger. Like I said, not quite the first episode I was expecting. I don't really know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting gaslighting and domestic violence for sure in the first episode. But that's what we got. And it made it a very dramatic episode, and it made it even sweeter that they could come to realize that soulmate or not, they were starting to have feelings for each other, realize that they needed to be with someone who, or wanted to be with someone who valued them, whether or not they were a soulmate. I thought it was really sweet in many ways. Like I said, more dramatic than I thought it would be, but a really strong first episode. I hope that the next few episodes keep up this same quality. 8 episodes is, it's too short. I'm not sure why it's so short. Honestly, if you did reincarnation stories, you could be doing stories forever, right? But they're only getting the 8 episodes, but I'm happy for that if it helps them keep the quality of this first episode. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, it's on Gaga. It's not on YouTube, so you won't be able to see it for free if you don't have the subscription to Gaga. But if you do, you can make sure to check it out. I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to the next one. The next one, like I said, they are playing different characters. Again, I don't know if there's going to be a running thread through the episodes. I hope at some point they do circle back around and see if they can explain a little more about why Dawn doesn't like or doesn't believe in soulmates. I am very curious if it's that his parents were soulmates and maybe they broke up and the father just disappeared. I mean, that's just my theory, but I don't know if that's the case. And I don't know if they will, as I said, circle around or if each episode is completely independent of the other. Now, because it was one episode for this couple, Sun and Dawn, they did have to rush a little bit, but it didn't wind up feeling rushed. But you saw where they were meeting up in the episode at various points. Like is a delivery person and a messenger and drives people around on his bike and everything. So he's at certain points giving Don rides or sending messages for him, whatever. And you see that time is passing because their clothes are changing. That's how they're showing that they're getting to know each other slowly over time. But we don't see all of that, like that all takes place within 2 or 3 minutes. So that's how we know time has passed. We don't exactly know how much time has passed. It probably would benefit maybe from having been 2 episodes, but I think they paced it well enough in this first episode that it didn't feel super rushed that they were doing that. And you understand, especially once you get to the end and see the trailer for the next episode, you understand that they had to show everything within this one self-contained episode. But they were smart to at least show that little piece, showing that time is passing, because otherwise you'd be like, there's too much going on. Because there really was a lot going on. There's the soulmate storyline thread. There's the Dawn. What is Dawn's resistance to the soulmate thing? And then the ex-boyfriend thread, that abusive relationship that they were showing or hinting at there. So there was a lot they were covering in that episode. But I think they did it well enough for the time that they were given. And I do like the effect of, this is the, video editing, the effect of the world being black and white and then only the soulmates seeing each other in color. It sort of vaguely reminded me of La Pluie. I still have not seen the end of La Pluie, but all this thing of meeting your soulmate in the rain, etc. The other show I've been watching is Battle of the Writers. That has been showing on YouTube, actually. So that one's free. And it's showing on the Hydro Indus Entertainment channel. I think, if I recall reading somewhere that this is a Thai Chinese production, which I guess that's why it's showing on this channel and not on the Mandi channel, which is where Yim and Tudor, that's the company they normally work with, they normally belong to. So it's showing on this Hydro Indus Entertainment channel. And I don't see a lot of views in the episodes. Not that it's getting very, very bad views, but I don't see probably what I would be seeing if they were on the Mandi channel. So I'm not sure in the overall scheme of things how this show is doing. I do see people talking about it, but more because they're talking about Tudor and Yim, not because people are saying that the show is great or fascinating or anything. They're just happy to see Tudor and Yim in a show. So this show is 12 episodes. Right now, they just finished airing episode 10. They did skip a week. So they actually skipped or pushed back showing the episode by a week. I believe it was episode 9. And they had sent out a tweet, or whatever it's called nowadays, a tweet, and I believe something on Instagram probably saying that the reason they pushed back the show because they were listening to the fans' comments and they were making a better show or something to that extent. I'm not really sure what comments they were talking about. I haven't seen super negative comments. I just haven't seen much commenting besides people being excited about tutoring him. So I'm not sure what it is they fixed. The show seems to have the same thing it's been having this whole time in terms of the pacing and the look of the show, etc. I didn't see anything markedly different in the episode, so I'm not sure what it was that they were fixing. They didn't really go into detail. But anyway, so this is Tudor and Yim. Tudor is playing Shan, who is, besides being a businessman, he's also a writer. Yim plays a writer called Ab-un. They meet because fans accuse Ab-un of plagiarizing Shan's work. And we learn over the course of the show that they actually met when they were younger, during a time when Shan had just gone through a very traumatizing experience. And together they had formed this story in their heads. And that's why separately as adults, they wrote the same story. Ab-un doesn't realize this because he barely remembers that period in his life. Shan, who's a little bit older, was a teenager when he was going through that experience, his own traumatizing experience. And so he remembers writing the story with Ab-un. So when he hears all these fans saying that someone is plagiarizing his story, and he actually goes and looks at the work of the person accused of plagiarizing him, he realizes that that's Ab-un. And he starts scheming. I don't mean it in the very negative way. I can't think of another word for it, but or just planning on ways that he can meet Ab-un to see if that's the person he knew when he was young. When they do finally meet, Shan does not tell Ab-un for many episodes anything about their story. So Ab-un doesn't know. He just knows he kind of feels this connection to this other person. He likes them a lot. And Shan is just trying to get closer to him. And they wind up working together along with some other writers from the same company. They wind up working on a BL novel together, and they get even closer that way just through working with each other. And they even wind up living together because something happens in Ab-un's apartment. Ab-un needs a place to stay, and Shan offers for him to live with him. So now they're even closer. And this whole time, Ab-un does not know why Shan is so interested in him. We don't find out till I believe it was episode 6 when Shan starts telling another of the writers named Ozone, who happens to be Ab-un's best friend, about how when he was younger, he was blind because of something that happened to him. And during that very traumatizing and lonely time in his life, he met this younger boy named Ab-un, who was a little bit of light in his life during a difficult time. Also during the show, they're doing something I think is pretty interesting and pretty cute, is that, as I said, they're all writers and they've decided to write a story together. And when they want to talk about the story or discuss where the story is going, they all meet in a group chat. And while they're in the group chat, they have them dressed in different ways. Like they'll be wearing pajamas, or if someone's eating in real life, they'll show them with a plate of food in the front of them in the group chat. Everyone's got ridiculous hair, they've got braids and they've got things in their hair, and just, it all looks very cute. And I actually think that was a cute way to represent it. They also show there's like a story within a story here, in that whenever they are, not whenever, but sometimes when they are discussing how the story is going, they actually show pieces of the story they're writing. I believe Chinese drama, ancient Chinese drama. Yim's character in the story is a demon, and his soulmate is, someone who's not a demon. And so there's the story within the story. I actually like when they show that. I would be very interested in them actually doing a special, a 1 or 2 episode special where it was just that storyline, the one they're writing. I think that would be interesting. But I do sometimes like watching historical dramas. So, and of course, the idea of a demon and, a hero falling in love or being soulmates is quite interesting. There is some people I've read online, one of the things they do not like is that when they show those scenes, they are showing them dubbed and they think it sounds strange. So the dubbing I did notice from the beginning, and I did think in my head, not that they were making fun, but like, oh, they're trying to show this piece is a Chinese historical drama. And not that I've watched a ton of them, but I have watched some, and they're always dubbed, actually. No, sometimes it's just because of the sound stage or whatever that they're working on, but I think everyone I've seen is dubbed. It's not unusual to have a dubbed Chinese historical drama just because of sound stages and mics, not being able to pick up sound properly, etc. When they are showing their real life, quote unquote, in their apartment, at work, whatever, it's not dubbed then. I think I feel like a couple of times I noticed some dubbing when they were in the group chat scene, but it might have just been this one character who is clearly a Chinese actor on the show, but speaking Thai, and I think they're dubbing over his speech. That may just be what I've noticed. But for the most part, I think it's just when they're filming the historical pieces that they're using the dubbing. There are two other side couples on the show, Sin and Jingjiang, and then Ozone and Pi. Ozone, as I mentioned before, is Obun's best friend. Pi is the editor at the company that they work for, that they publish under. I think Tudor and Yim have undeniable chemistry. I've seen them in Cutie Pie and Cutie Pie 2. The characters, I think they're interesting characters. I think the pacing is a little off on the show. This maybe could have been a 10 episode show. We do see that they have enough time to get to know each other and everything. And I guess part of what makes the show seem longer sometimes is because of the story within a story, you move out of Shan and Obun's life and then you're seeing the historical drama and then you come back in. But they also, this is the thing I'm seeing with a lot of shows. Of course, shows have a side couple. But a lot of shows now, they've got a third side couple and even a fourth side couple. And at a certain point, it just gets to be too much. Sin and Jing Jiang was the second couple they introduced. But to be honest, I really didn't even care. I was kind of like, can we drop this storyline and get back to the main couple? But then they've recently, in the last episode, really it started earlier, but the last episode, Ozone and Pi, the third couple, finally got together. That one was the more interesting storyline because that one, the reason that they were having any tension is because Pi was Ozone's editor. And suddenly he he transferred Ozone to a different editor. Or he told Ozone he was going to transfer him to a different editor, but wasn't giving him a reason why. We as the audience realized it's because he likes Ozone and really probably felt like that was an inappropriate relationship. He is his boss in a sense. Ozone doesn't really understand. He's always worked with Pi. He finds comfort in working with Pi. And all of a sudden he feels Pi is just kicking him to the side. There was actual background, storyline, feelings. We saw feelings between them. Even if it wasn't necessarily romantic, we know they've been working together for a while. Sin and Jinjiang, on the other hand, Sin goes traveling. I guess it's supposed to be love at first sight, but I just wasn't feeling that storyline. It just seemed very random and crammed into the show. And this has nothing to do with the actors. I actually think they did have good chemistry, but it just seemed like they just threw that storyline in there. And because of that, it just felt kind of rushed to me, their whole relationship, quote unquote. And actually, I believe that was episode 6. Sin just winds up flying away. I'm sure before the show ends, he'll probably either Jin Jiang's gonna show up where Sin is, or Sin is gonna go back to where Jin Jiang is. They do have a discussion at one point where Sin asks Jin Jiang, "Would you ever leave here?" And Jin Jiang's like, "Where would I go? This is all I know. This is all I know how to do." But you can see Sin maybe introducing the idea in his head of leaving this vacation spot. We'll see what happens. If they don't conclude it, I don't know that I would care. Because like I said, it just seemed very crammed in. It didn't give enough time for me to care about Jin Jiang's story, about them as a person. We do know Sin a little better because Sin is one of the members of the writing group. but we don't even know him that well at this point. So I just didn't care that much about what was going on with that. Ozone, we know better because Ozone, as I said, is Obun's best friend. So we see him more. Pi, we see more. We may see him, well, we don't see him as much as Sin, but we see him through Ozone's experience and everything. So to me, I just cared more about that couple. They could have just left Cinna and Jinjang to the side. It was just too many. And actually, if you look at it, there's like a fourth couple, which is the ancient Chinese part of the drama. So it's just too many couples in this show. I do appreciate that they were trying to do something different, and it's pretty ambitious to have the story within the story. I do appreciate that. And like I said, I care enough about that side of the story, the ancient Chinese drama, that I would be totally interested in seeing a special just about those. Don't even mix in any of the modern characters or the real life characters, just those characters. That would be very interesting to me. I don't know that they'll do it, especially because, as I said, the ratings don't seem extraordinary to me. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like it's getting extraordinary ratings. So I don't know what else they're going to do with these characters, with this channel. They do, if you're someone who likes to see behind the scenes things, they do have a lot of behind the scenes video on this channel. They have some videos where Yim and Tudor are playing games. Not just Yim and Tudor, because Ozone and Pi, I think, they had a video where they're playing a game. Though those are not all subtitled. I don't think the games, but I believe the behind the scenes ones were subtitled. They also have reaction videos on this channel if you like that sort of thing. So you can tell they're really trying to push this story out to as many people as they can, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious how it's actually doing ratings wise. Last but definitely not least is Jack and Joker, You Steal My Heart. So far, they're up to episode 5 as of the recording of this video. It is on iQIYI, and it stars Yin and War. Yin plays Jack, who at the beginning of the show is a very sweet teenager who lost his parents. He is someone he is involved in martial arts, I believe, and his whole dream is to make the national team in Thailand because he thinks that will change his life. And he's got dreams for himself. He wants to make the national team. He decides at one point he wants to open a school. He wants to improve the lives of the kids in his area and his neighborhood, make a community center, have a school. He has all these ideas of how to improve the lives of the kids around him. We see a little bit of his storyline. It's kind of going back and forth in the first episode. At the same time, or on the other hand, is the story of War, who he is playing Joker. His parents look like they're wealthy, or at least middle class, and they have all these ambitions for him. His father wants him to go to medical school. War is just not on a good path. They don't really explain fully because it makes it seem like he's always sort of been on this bad path, but I don't know why because he said something about stealing since he was a kid. So I don't know what he meant by that, but I know in currency, his father is pretty tough on him. And part of what they do is comparing him to his brother, who his brother's very successful in school. And it's like, why can't you be like your brother? Which is not a good thing to be compared to another sibling like that, because obviously everyone is different. And he just feels this immense pressure to be what his father wants him to be. And he winds up faking that he got accepted into medical school. And he goes to a bar to drink away his sorrows that he told this lie that he knows it's going to come back to bite him, because at some point his family will realize he did not get into medical school. Now, as I mentioned, he said that he was stealing since he was young. And one of the things is that he's basically a con man. He dresses up, goes to a place and just does whatever to try to get money. They set it up almost as if he thinks he's being a Robin Hood, taking from organizations that are corrupt anyway, so it doesn't matter. He's not hurting anyone. But he comes to realize in episode 1, he does hurt someone. When he goes to this bar, he meets Jack. Jack is working in the bar. They start talking. He tells Jack his story. They feel an instant connection. At this point, it's not romantic necessarily. Jack is just a teenager. Joke is a little older. So I think I'm not sure on Joke's end, I think maybe he did have a little bit of a crush, but Jack is not thinking that way. But anyway, they do meet, they talk. Jack lends a sympathetic ear to him. Later on, we see Joker, as I said, he's a con man. He dresses up as a manager and goes into a bank, pretends he's a manager in the bank. People in the bank believe him, and he doesn't say exactly what he's going to do there, but while he's there pretending to be a manager, Jack comes in because Jack wants to borrow money to fund the school and community center that I was speaking of earlier. And Joker hears his story and gives him the money, which of course it's not his money to give. He's just stolen from the bank to give the money to Jack. Later on, we see the police come to arrest Jack because, as far as they know, he has stolen the money. Joker sees this and realizes that yes, his actions do have consequences, and sometimes it can be someone else bearing the consequences. And he realizes he needs change. And because he doesn't want Jack to go to jail, he confesses to what he's done. This is all in episode 1. This is like the setup for the rest of the show. Jack goes to jail for 5 years. I'm sorry, not Jack. Joker goes to jail for 5 years. Jack is set free because now the police know that he did not embezzle this money. But, his life has changed. His life is not going well. He's involved in this. He doesn't make the national martial arts team like he wanted to. He loses out to someone from a wealthy family, basically. So nothing in his life is going well. His parents, before they passed, owed a lot of money. So he, in turn, has to pay back this debt. And we see 5 years later, when Joker gets out of jail, he goes looking for Jack because he wants to ask for his forgiveness. And he finds that Jack has changed. And Jack is now working for this loan shark. He's working for the big boss. And he just can't believe it because that's not the Jack that he knew. And so he says he wants to bring back the gentle, kind Jack that he knew before. So far it's really good. I really like it so far. The pacing is good. We see Joker as someone who was committing crimes. I mean, he was a con man, but is deep down really a kind person. And I think just wants someone to see him for who he really is and accept him for who he really is. And that's not something that he was going to get from his family. It's something he got from Jack in the brief moments that he knew him before he went to jail. And it kind of breaks his heart, I think, that Jack has apparently gone down this bad path during the time that he has been in jail. And he does get to meet up with Jack, and Jack just doesn't want to forgive him because we learn from something Jack's grandmother says that Jack is someone who really holds grudges. And even though Joker has been thinking of Jack this whole time that he's been in jail and apparently planning how he would get Jack to forgive him, I don't know that Jack's been thinking of Joker, right? Jack's been out in the real world going through everything he was going through. He's working for this loan shark. He was a very kind and gentle person before, and now he's someone who's having to extort money from people basically and maybe beat people up or whatever to get the money that they owe to the loan shark. But Joker comes to learn, and we the audience come to learn, that everything is not as it seems, and that Jack still really is that kind, gentle person that he was before. He just can't show it. Other characters on the show are Tattoo and Hoy, who are people who owe money to the boss that Jack works for as well. Joker winds up living next to them and becoming involved in their lives. And then Hope, who is played by Pete, another henchman who can't stand Jack, but they work for the same boss. Aaron, who is played by Mark, who's the son of the boss. And Grandma, like I said, Jack's grandmother is there. So it's just all these people who either are working for the boss or people who owe money to the boss. Just people who are down and out. And in the middle of all of this, we've got Joker, who came out of jail not wanting to be a thief. He's trying to change his life around, but at the same time winding up having to go back to those things of stealing, of being a con man, etc., because he's trying to do right by Jack. even though Jack is pushing him away at the same time. I think the show is very well paced so far. It's episode 5. We still don't have any, romance between Jack and Joker, but Jack is starting to feel something. Or he already started to before episode 5, but episode 5 I really see like he really sees Joker is actually a kind person. And he's realizing he doesn't have to hold a grudge against him. That sometimes it's good to forgive for that person as well as for yourself, right? Maybe he's realizing he doesn't want to miss out on getting to know this or joke because of things that happened in the past. The characterizations are interesting here. We don't really know much about the boss yet, but Aaron is, like I said, the boss's son, so the boss has a room where he has all the items that they've gotten from people who owe money to them, whether it's something they have as collateral or whatever. And Aaron is just over there selling these items and hoping his father doesn't notice. I don't know. It's very strange. Hope, as I said, is one of the henchmen played by P. He is someone who really dislikes Jack, has like a jealousy or rivalry with him, and it's really a one-sided rivalry because Jack could care less about what Hope is up to. Hope is the one who always cares what Jack is doing. I guess he's trying to be the boss's right-hand man. But even though you see him being this jerk, they in episode 4 introduced that he does have his own boyfriend and he's like sweet with his boyfriend. His boyfriend is someone who knows Jack actually from the neighborhood, and Jack doesn't even know that they're together. They keep their relationship secret. But it's just interesting to see Hope being kind of sweet with his boyfriend, but at the same time he's such a violent character. He's a violent jerk. So that's interesting. I mean, these are a bunch of gangsters and thieves and whatever, so there is definitely violence in this show. No gun violence so far, but a lot of beating each other up and bruises and all that sort of thing. But it's realistic, right? That's what that world is. We've also got, as I mentioned, Tattoo and Hoy. They are neighbors of Joker because Joker winds up moving in next to them. And I really dislike Tattoo. I don't know if his character is going to change, but so far he has double crossed Joker twice, and Joker's very forgiving towards him. And he is friends with Hoy. I don't know how long they've been friends. I don't think they've said that, but if I was Hoy, I'd be very wary. People get beat up. He doesn't help. Well, he'll help for 2 seconds. And then he goes and steals whatever jewelry or whatever it is they were trying to take and tries to walk off and sell things and just leaves people behind. And it's more than once. So I guess they're trying to show he's a flawed character, but so far he's not, how do I explain this? He winds up doing the right thing, but I don't think he's learning for himself about doing the right thing. He does the right thing when he gets caught. But I so far haven't seen him changing to realize that he should have some kind of loyalty to his friends. So far I'm really not liking his character. I don't know where they're going with this. It'll be interesting to see. But so far to me, he's like the most unlikable character on the show. Again, they haven't shown us that much of Boss. So he's really the most unlikable character, right? Because he's just taking advantage of these poor people around him that need money. but we really haven't seen him. But Tattoo we've seen. He's supposed to be part of the friend group and he's just betraying people. Although they're not all truly friends. He's truly friends with Hoy, not with the rest of them. So maybe as the friendship deepens and he feels like they really are his friends, maybe he'll stop with the double crossing. I don't know. But right now he's being more of a jerk than Hope, and Hope is one of the actual bad guys. So I hope that changes. As I said, episode 5, we finally see Jack has softened towards Joker. So I think from here is where we'll see some romance begin. Not even romance. I don't think the next episode has any romance, but I think at least they'll really become friends. And then we'll see what happens from there. So far, they have not shown Joker has any communication with his family. When he gets out of jail, he immediately goes looking for Jack, and there's no mention of his family. I don't know if he's even been in communication with them at all in the whole time he's been in jail. I'm curious. He had a book were called 100 ways or 1,000 ways to seek forgiveness. And he had it with him as pertains to Jack. I'm wondering if there's anything in that book that pertains to his family. If at some point we'll see him try to gain forgiveness for what he put his family through. But on the other hand, father was very hard on him. So maybe he doesn't feel he's the one who has to seek their forgiveness. Maybe he feels like they need to seek his forgiveness. I don't know. They have not brought it up at all. And I don't know if they will. I don't know if at any point he's going to go and find his family. They are only on episode 5. I believe it's a 12 episode show. So they do have time if they want to look at that part of the story. I think they really should. I think they need to tie up that loose end. I don't know what's up with the dad, but at least the mom and the brother, like in all the time he was in jail, none of them tried to find out how he was doing or anything. I find that a little hard to believe, but maybe it's so. I don't know. We'll see if they explore it more. I do really enjoy the show so far. The flawed characters are very interesting, even though I think Tattoo is a jerk, like I said. It is interesting to see such a flawed character on the show. Jack's grandma's been in several episodes. She's feisty. I love when they have a feisty grandma on the show. So that's interesting too. And you can tell that she knows that something is going to go on with Jack and Joker, even if Jack doesn't realize it yet. And I'm curious actually how that's going to develop, because Joker, you can see in certain instances, does feel a little shy towards Jack. Like I think he's had a bit of attraction for him from the beginning. It's just, as I said, when they first met, Jack was underage. Like nothing happened. They met one night at the bar. You know, maybe they knew each other for a total of 2 hours, and then their lives changed forever at that point. So nothing happened then. But Jack is seeing Joker with new eyes and with open eyes. And so we'll see from here how things go, how things develop. Now that he's an adult, right, and has been out in the world around, and he's seen some terrible things, he's seen some not so good things, and he himself probably realizes that the world is not black and white. It's gray, and Joker is gray. And he is gray now too, because he's had to do things I'm sure that he has not wanted to do over the years, just working for the boss that he worked for. So I'm rooting for them. I hope it goes well. So far, episode 5 in the show's good pace. It's going along, really enjoying it. So definitely something I would recommend. This and Every You, Every Me, totally recommend. Lovely writer. If you like tutoring him, you can watch it. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but if you're pressed for time, you can leave that one to the side. But make sure you watch Jack and Joker. If you've got iQIYI, because it is on iQIYI, it is by subscription. That's the one advantage I would say, like, love that Battle of the Writers has over the other two, that it's free on YouTube. So I don't know when another episode of the podcast will come out. Right now, like I said, feeling inspired because Jack and Joker is good. Every You, Every Me is good. So I hope to have at least a couple of more podcasts come out covering those shows. And then maybe I'll be able to get into some other shows. As I mentioned, Twinkling Watermelon, I really, really enjoyed that drama, Korean drama. And then I did watch The Rebound with Min and Ping recently. And I did watch 4 Minutes, actually, with Jess and Bible. That one I kind of have mixed feelings about. It was a good experiment, but I don't know about that ending. But not going to talk about it here. This episode's already really long. Maybe in a future podcast. Thank you so much for sticking around. And if you're someone who's been with me in previous episodes or all 40 episodes before this, thank you for being patient and waiting around for episode 41. Thank you and stay safe, everyone.